I want to welcome to the show Stu Burguiere, host of Stu Does America, as well as it's his first time on the program, Rick Lockery. He is the chairman of the Young Republicans Club. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
How nervous are you?
Not at all.
You doing good?
No, you're great.
Got a steady hand?
I'm good.
You ready?
It's all about the hat today.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you. He came in and complimented my hat, so he's immediately my new favorite guest.
We're best friends.
We aren't best friends
Absolutely.
now.
I liked it first.
So I want to get into this CNN town hall that Donald Trump was at yesterday. And I think, actually, Stu, last time you were on the show, I think, we talked about he had just said that he had just agreed to do it.
Okay.
And we talked about how it seemed like a weird decision for both parties, because if you're CNN and you're constantly talking about how this guy is spreading misinformation and lies, why would you want him to be deplatformed forever from Twitter? Why would you then platform him? And for Donald Trump, it was like, why would you go to the network who hates you and give them the ratings rather than a friendlier outlet? So it seemed to be a very weird decision on both parts, but it was really lovely to watch. I got to tell you, it was just, it went exactly how we thought that it would, or at least I thought that it would. I'll get y'all's takes in a second. And it really was, I mean, it was like I was right back in, 2019, 2020, watching these debates, even 2016, watching Donald Trump at his greatest, maybe some would say his worst. I think it's great. But I want to play a couple clips from this town hall. So first I want to go to, I believe this was towards the beginning, if not the very beginning, of the town hall, and Kaitlan Collins asked Donald Trump about election fraud and about his claims about election fraud. So he started talking about election fraud. Then he was asked, will you stop talking about election fraud, even though they were the ones who brought that conversation up? I want to play that clip. Watch.
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud during your run for president?
Yeah, unless I see election fraud. If I see election fraud, I think I have an obligation to say it. And you know what we went through a short while ago has really put our country in a big problem.
Still.
A totally bizarre situation from beginning to end. I think you laid it out well. I mean, it's funny that CNN would allow this to happen. They made this big rule about how they were going to have no election deniers on the air anymore. A year ago, a year and a half ago, and then here he is on TV. Now they had the
chief election denier,
right? And he would admit that he wore that proudly. Right. He wouldn't like the denier part of it, but he does like he does not shy away from this stuff. Mm-hmm. This is what he believes, and I think that the central part of this is why this is such a weird event is that these are not questions that anyone who's voting in a Republican primary care about. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only question that came about the election was a guy saying, please stop talking about the election, right? This is an event designed for people who are watching CNN, not designed for people who actually need to make this decision, which is an important one, whether you want Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or somebody else. And they threw all these people in this room with a bunch of people who seemed to really like Trump in the audience, and it wound up being like he was just playing off the crowd. Yeah. He was able to work the room really well. There was no winning, I don't think, for Kaitlan Collins in this venue, and I don't think there's any winning for CNN. The only win here for CNN is, of course, that they get the ratings boost. I think that they like the idea that Donald Trump's going to be the Republican nominee, so they get to maybe emphasize his role in the party a little bit. But it was a very weird night. I don't know. I mean, look, Donald Trump on television, a lot of times there's fireworks, and we had plenty of them last night.
I want to, Rick, I want to get your thoughts here. I want to play another clip to throw into them. We just have so many. I want to make sure that we get to them. I want to play Trump. I think this is a really, really good moment for him. Stu, you mentioned this is a very friendly crowd towards Trump. And they were talking about inflation, and he mentioned one of the first thing that he would do to reduce inflation was drill, baby, drill. I want to play that exchange. Watch.
If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill. So we were energy independent. we were soon going to be energy dominant. And nobody had ever done what I did. We got oil down to $1.87. Actually, it fell lower than that in some cases. We had to save the oil companies, the price was getting so. We were doing incredibly. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country, probably the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. We were going to be bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together ×2. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation. Any other nation. And these stupid fools ended it.
Your thoughts?
You know, I was nervous going into last night.
Yeah.
He hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like full home run, grand slam. I was so impressed. This was Donald Trump the way we remember him from 2016, 2017. And I just felt hopeful again because Trump will be the nominee. I'm pretty sure about that right now. And things can change over the course of next year, but the way he set himself up last night, I mean, this is game on.
Yeah.
And he's ready to take on Joe Biden again. And just the way he's handling himself now, it just feels like there's energy again and that the possibility of taking back the White House is real. And now he's talking about issues again.
Right.
Like real issues. Drill, baby, drill. Let's do it.
Yeah. So on that point, I thought that one of his other, it's interesting. It's a very obviously divisive subject, but for me, if you're talking to Republican voters, I thought that perhaps one of his strongest moments, if not the strongest moment, was his comments on the Ukraine war, which, of course, Kaitlan Collins was just horrified that he would say that she blatantly, like, do you want Ukraine to win? You mean you don't want Ukraine to win? But I think he said what most Republicans, at least, and I would hope the average American, if they're paying attention, was thinking. Watch.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
what do you, can I just follow up on that? You
But
said
one
you
of the
don't
things
think
you
in
have
terms
to
of
do is
winning
you have
and
to get
losing.
you have
Mr.
to get
President, can I
Europe.
just follow up on that because that's a really important
Excuse me,
statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there.
Broke her.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying, Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done.
Within 24 hours. Like, he literally broke her brain by saying what I think is a very reasonable position, which is none of y'all cared about this conflict up until 5 minutes ago when it was the latest virtue signal. And now all of a sudden we have to pick a side, who wins and who loses. Can we just say, like, maybe we could just help negotiate it? Wouldn't that be a better solution?
Yeah, maybe we don't puppeteer every world event.
Maybe we don't fight proxy wars, you know?
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, look, this, of course, had been bubbling up for a very long time. But I mean, in 2014, when Obama was president, we had the Crimea situation, and they had no interest in Ukraine winning that. They just wanted to give Obama an out on the politics of it. Look, I think, it's, if he was like, you know what, actually, I want Russia to win, and Russia must win, and I love Vladimir Putin, I think we'd all have a problem with that. But like, our interests are our interests. That is an important part of certainly Trump's foreign policy, but it should be every American's foreign policy. America First is like a slogan, and it's been used by some crazy groups back in the day, but the principle is obvious. Like, of course, that's how we're supposed to be making decisions. We're supposed to be thinking about what's best for us. And look, Vladimir Putin rolling all over Europe is not best for us. However, us dumping hundreds of billions of dollars seemingly every 2 weeks into Ukraine, most of which is probably getting wasted and lost in corruption, is not a good solution either. The thing being over is what will really benefit the United States, and I think the rest of the world as well. I sympathize with people in Ukraine who are like, hey, wait a minute, that was part of our country 2 weeks ago. Shouldn't we get it back? I believe if we were in that situation, someone rolled across our borders, we would say, no, we're not giving them New Mexico. No, that's ours. I understand why they want to fight for that. That does not mean we need to be involved in every inch of that land. I agree with the president here. I want this over, and I want to find the fastest path to get it over.
Yeah, your thoughts?
He's a smart man. 45 is a smart man. Look, diplomatically, China is setting themselves up as the peacemaker here.
Yeah.
They're the ones coming in, and they're the friends of Russia, right? Trump can come in as the newly elected number 47 and say, look, I didn't pick a side. I can be the deal maker here. And he's the king of deals. Right. He'll come in and look, our allies know the United States stands with them. That's not going to change. We're not going to let Russia roll all over the Ukraine. But Trump will be able to come in and, like you said, within 24 hours, finish this. Yeah. And then we won't have to keep dumping money into the Ukraine over the next decade.
Right.
Maybe a little aggressive. 24 hours. Maybe he needs 36. I think 36 hours is more realistic. He's exaggerating a bit.
Would you give him grace if it was 48?
Well, look, it's a campaign promise now. And if you can't get it done in 24, it's a big failure on PolitiFact.
So I want to play a couple fun moments here. So, because Trump he had to go full Trump a little bit and show us what we were missing so much when he was deplatformed from the entire world for a while, except for Truth Social. So I want to play Trump. Kaitlan Collins, I felt like, I don't know how you guys feel. I thought she was very condescending. I didn't like the way in which she conducted herself, where he would say something and she would try to, say, well, that's actually not true, but we're going to move on, and not give him a chance to just say what he wanted to say and move on. But I want to play Trump finally having enough and trying to answer a question and then just saying you're a nasty person, which is just a Trump signature touch. Watch.
Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like you did.
And so that's the question. 1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Again, go ahead.
It's just amazing that CNN put her in this position.
I know.
When you know the crowd is friendly to Trump.
I know.
And it's funny because the incentives here, right? They want to make Kaitlan Collins into a star. They put her in the mornings, right? They want to make her, the rumor is that she's going to be the Don Lemon replacement. Yeah. So they want to make her into a big star. They want to get the ratings. They win on that front. They want to get, at some level, they want to get, Trump. I think they like having Trump in this conversation because they benefit off of it. Yeah. So they like this. It's funny, Kaitlan Collins is such a weird, story. I mean, she, if you remember, of course, Tucker Carlson now is talking about going to Twitter and all this stuff. Before all this, he started his own media company called The Daily Caller, and one of his first hires was Kaitlan Collins. Like, she came from there. Like, she doesn't have this hardcore liberal background, but you can tell she just does not like Trump. And, her environment is what it is. It's CNN. And so whatever friendliness she may have had to conservatism at one point, or at least understanding of it, because I don't need my reporters to be outwardly conservative. What I would like them to do is at least understand where Republicans and conservatives are coming from, and
not hate us,
okay. Despise us every way. Yeah. And I don't know that she still has that in her, but she did at one point.
Yeah.
So look, I think it was a tough spot for her. I would not want to be in that spot, but this is Trump's game. It's his. This is where he likes to play. He's playing to the crowd. He's engaging with the crowd. Everything Trump does well is right here in the middle of this event. And then poor Kaitlan Collins is sticking there. And I don't think anybody feels bad for her, but this is a tough role for her at this point.
So we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about the blowback that CNN was receiving, and perhaps not from who you would expect. So I want to play one more clip here before we get to the reaction from this town hall. And this was, of course, this debate or this town hall came at a time, it was a weird time for Trump because he just was found liable by the jury in New York for this civil case with E. Jean Carroll, who we've played her clips on the program. Doesn't seem like a mentally stable woman. And he, of course, was asked about this recent jury finding, and again, he went full Trump on the answer. Watch.
Speaking of New York, I want to ask you about a significant verdict that was reached yesterday. I know this is something you want to weigh in on as well. A Manhattan jury found that you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this, but what do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out. They went up. Okay. I think I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, a very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things. But with her, they can put in anything.
I've literally watched that clip no less than 20 times, and I laugh every time he says it. It's just so part of, I think, you guys tell me, I think the average Republican, part of the Trump charm are the moments like that where he just has seemingly no filter. He just goes, and he doesn't know when to stop, and he doesn't care when to stop. He just says it.
And he says it in he says that word with such a weird emphasis.
Weird.
I love it. It's almost like another person talking. Like he's like, well, the dog or the cat is a vagina. It's like really, he really like lays into that word. And look, we weren't there at Bergdorf Goodman. We don't know what the heck happened. In my belief, like it's just nuts. The whole trial was just nuts. But like, this doesn't prove anything about the case other than the fact that she's obviously insane if she named her cat that, right? Like no sane person would do this. Right? No one would name their cat Vagina.
I hope that his presidential library just has clips, these types of clips, just a wall of clips.
Oh my God.
A non-family friendly section of the Trump library. You just walk in and he's just saying all sorts of very strange things.
So the Democrats were very, very mad that CNN dared platform this election denier, racist, homophobic, all the phobics, whatever, everything else they call him. And I want to go through a little bit of that blowback. So Democratic strategist Jack Cocherella, he says he's literally never going to tune in to CNN ever again. He tweeted out, "I am disgusted by CNN. CNN spit in the face of journalism tonight. CNN spit in the face of democracy tonight." I think we have that tweet. "I will never watch CNN again, and neither should you." Wow, that is quite dramatic. AOC was also very mad. She said, CNN should be ashamed of themselves. They have lost total control of this town hall to again be manipulated into platforming election disinformation, defenses of January 6th, and a public attack on a sexual abuse victim. The audience is cheering him on and laughing at the host. This falls squarely on CNN. Everyone here saw exactly what was going to happen. Instead, they put a sexual abuse victim in harm's way for views. This was a choice to platform lies about the election in January 6th with no plan but to have their moderator interrupted without consequence.
I imagine her saying it exactly like you did. You know, these people cannot have their worldview challenged. Mm-hmm. It's so obvious, and it's scary, because that's half the country. You know, I enjoy debating people with different ideas.
Yeah.
The left in this country has lost their mind.
Yeah.
And this is a great example. CNN went out on a limb. So did Trump. Mm-hmm. You know, they took a jump together to see where it go. And like for them to be attacking CNN in this way, it's a former president running for the presidency again.
Right.
Like this should be okay to have discussions on national TV, but it's not for them.
Isn't it so interesting that the same people who I fight on the daily who will say that you can't stop drag queens from performing sexually in front of children because that's freedom of speech. You can't take away their speech. You can't censor them. You're censoring them, and that's not fair. Are the exact same people who were like, never allow Donald Trump to speak in public ever again.
Fascinating. It's almost as if they haven't thought this one out all that well. Look, any presidential candidate, I don't care what they're saying. I mean, I can understand you want some controls on social media, like to make the experience better for the users. There's certainly some limits there. You might want to limit porn, for example. But like any person who's running for president should have absolutely no filter at all on these things. If they are saying the N-word every other day, I want to know that's how they are, right? I want to know that about them. I want to know they're a horrible person. We need to be exposed to our leaders. you'd think that they would want to hear from Donald Trump. If he's saying all these terrible things and it's going to hurt him in the election, you'd think they'd want him out there, but they don't. They want the opposite. And I think the reaction really shows one thing: who won the night. They would not be saying it was a disgrace if Donald Trump was destroyed on live television. They would love every second of it. Yep. The opposite happened, so they're reacting like psychopaths.
You couldn't have said it better myself.
Vagina!
It will never not be funny to me. All right, I'm 12 years old.
If you like that clip, there is plenty more where that came from. Click the link in the description below to subscribe to the News and Why It Matters YouTube channel to watch the full episode.